Hello and welcome to Golden Orb Studios. In this video we'll be creating an infinite runner such as like Subway or Temple Run. It just keeps going on and on forever. If you can see in the distance, you can see it rendering. The bushes you can walk through, you can jump over the stools, and if you run into the stool, then you die. If you'd like to download the project files for today's video, there'll be a link for my Patreon down below, and it is under the basic tier. And the first thing to do is to go to the content browser, right click, new folder, and then call it Infinite Runner. Open that up. Open it up, and I already have some stuff here, and I'll walk you through how to add each of these to your scene. So first go to the content browser, then characters, and we're going to copy the BP third person game mode, and then go back to the Infinite Runner, and we'll copy and paste that into here. I already have it there, so I'm going to rename it Infinite Runner Game Mode and open that up, and then we're going to get event begin play and then drag off that and get for loop, and then the last index will be 19. And then for add map, we're going to come over to functions, click the plus icon, and then we'll rename that to add map. Opening that up, we're going to type in spawn actor, and then opening that up, we're going to drag off and type in spawn actor from class, and then we're just going to leave this blank because we haven't created the level floor yet. But the next thing we want to do is create a variable called next spawn point. So come to variable and then click the plus icon, and then you're going to want to click on this and then change it to transform, and then I called it next spawn point. And so you're just going to drag off and plug it into there, and then we're going to wait to drag off of here because we need to get the level reference, and we haven't created it yet. And over here, we're just gonna get set. So that'll be ready for later. Coming out of this, we'll come back to it later. We'll go to event graph and then drag off add map, and then we'll plug it in to the loop body, still in the Infinite Runner game mode. Then coming over to the content browser, I'll go to the Infinite Runner, and in here, I just want to create a blueprint class and then actor. And I'm gonna call this object 01. I already have object 01, so I'll just walk you through on how I created it. First, if you want it to have collision, such as this, like when you hit it, you'll fall down and die, then you'll want to create a box collision. If you want to walk through it like a bush or something like that, or just have a tree with its normal collision, then you don't need a box collision. And next, you want to add a static mesh. I added 2 because mine has 2 parts. Next, after we've created these, we're going to go into the event graph, and on the box, I'm going to right click, add event, and then on component begin overlap, it would be right here. I already have it, so it doesn't show it. You can also click on the box and scroll down, and you can see on component begin overlap, and there it is right there. Off of other actor, you want to cast to BP character 1 and then plug that in. Make sure that's in the object and other actor. Off of as BP character 1, you want to drag off and then get our dead function that we created. And going in that, I added one more thing just to make sure it works properly. Off of dead, I got the player info, and this is in the BP character blueprint. Off of dead, I set the health from the player info, and I just set it to 0. And then that is all for the object 1. So then we can copy and paste it. I already have these, so I'll walk through just what's different about these ones. In object 2, all I did was replace the static mesh, and I didn't add a box collision. Just make sure all the values are default, scale of 1, all that. Event graph, I have this, but I don't need it. Although if you do want to get knocked down by the tree, you would do what we did here. In object 1, cast BP character, and then get the dead function. And then you would also need to add a collision for this. And then do what we did in object 1, on component begin overlap, and then you would call this. And object 3 is exactly the same as object 2, and I don't need that either. And I also just set this to no collision since it's a bush. So I'm just going to close out of these because that's all we need to do with those. And then we just need to set up the floor, and I have a link to this floor blueprint down in the LEGO tutorials folder in Dropbox. It's a little more complicated to make, and how to do that is you just right click on any of these, click show and explore, just minimize this real quick, drag it off to the left, and then open up your downloads folder, right click, extract all, and then I don't have it in yet, but for demonstration, go to blueprints, and then it'll look like something like this, except it'll say level floor UE asset, and all you would do is copy and then paste into here. And then once you copy and paste, it'll look like this, level 4 UE asset. You can just close out of that and then go back in here, and then you'll see it right there. So you can open that up, and then everything should look like this. You may have to reset up some of these things, such as the floor, and all you would need to do is click on the floor and then select the grass tile. Or if you haven't downloaded my foliage pack from Patreon, then you just use a plane. But I'm going to use the grass tile, and this is a seamless grass tile, so it can be duplicated over and over again. So once you come in here, you can see that there's a spawn left, spawn right, and a spawn center. And then there's also an attach point and an end trigger. And this just lets you know where things will spawn, where things will attach to. So if you wanted to have more things, I'll show you real quick. I'll just take the spawn center and duplicate that, and then I'll call this, and then I'll drag it over here, and then I'll rename this one to spawn center top, and then this one to spawn center. And so you could go ahead and just rename this to center left, center right, and then bottom right, bottom center, and bottom left. So you could have 6 different spawn points that will spawn different things. And then you can move these around as well. So then to add this, we will just need to go to set spawn points, make array, and that will just be over here in the functions. You can see it's over here, set spawn points, and just click the arrow and then duplicate this, plug it in, and then it will get spawn center. And if you want to add more obstacles, you can go to set obstacles, click the add pin, and then you can add more blueprints, and you can also change these out. So basically what we're doing is, if you come into the construction script, is we're setting the spawn points. So we're getting the location of the arrows, and then we're setting the obstacles, we're setting the blueprints that we will be using as obstacles, and then we will spawn the obstacles. And then also we will be getting attach transform, and that's just getting the location that it will be attaching to. Next, in the event graph, we're getting the end trigger, and we're getting on component begin overlap, and we're casting to the infinite runner game mode. You may have to recast to this, might have to delete it and then cast to infinite runner game mode, especially if you call it something else, then you would need to replace it. It's just whatever this is right here. Next, we want to add map, and that is the thing that we set up in the infinite runner game mode, and that's the thing we need to finish setting up. So since we have the level floor now, we can type in level floor, and then we want to get the return value, promote to variable, and call this level ref. I already have it, so I'm just going to come back down here, reattach that. So make sure the next spawn point is plugged in, the level floor, and then you drag off promote to variable, create the level ref, plug that in, and then drag off of here, and you want to get attach transform. It's just that one. Then you plug that in, and then up here we set the next spawn point. And then coming back to level floor, after we cast, get game mode, add map, we want to set a delay of 0.5, and then we want to destroy the actor, which is itself. So I'm just going to close out of these. And then in the BP character 01, we set up the death, which is mostly already set up. Next, we set up the infinite runner movement, and I already have it set up here. But basically what we're doing is we're taking the controls that were already over here, the movement input, and we'll just be stealing from this. So you want to get event tick, and then hold down B for branch, and then we want to get the player info, and then check if it's dead. If it isn't dead, then we want to add movement input, value scale of 1, and this part we're just taking from here, so just this stuff right here. So you get control rotation, plug it in, break rotator on the Z axis into make rotator. Next, you want to get the forward vector, then you want to plug it forward vector into add movement input, roll direction, and in the input axis move right, you want to get the get right vector, plug it into the world direction, and then plug the axis value into scale, and this will let you move from right to left. And what this is doing is making it so you just infinitely walk forward. So this is all you need for input, and you can go ahead and unplug the enhanced input movement method just by holding Alt and clicking. And for the camera input, I unplugged this, the left/right, and I only want the up and down, although you can have it if you want. And I just kept jump plugged in, just how it is. Next, just to make sure everything works, we want to go to content, blueprints, and you want to select the player info and saved items and drag it into the scene. Otherwise, it won't work properly. And for the player info, it was originally like this, but I had to rotate it 90 degrees. That way it faces the Y axis. And I believe that's everything. So if you click play, it will start going forward. You can jump, walk left to right. You can move the camera up and down, not side to side. And if I run into something, I die. and then it respawns me, and you can see far in the distance it keeps duplicating up in front. And if everything looks like this and you followed all the instructions in the video, it should look like this. Things spawn, and it just will go on forever and ever. And behind me, you can't see it. I'll turn on the camera rotation, and then you'll be able to see there's that tree. And if I go a bit and turn around, it's no longer there. When I get to the end trigger, 0.5 seconds, and then it destroys it. So all the planes are being destroyed behind me, and I have pretty good frame rate right now, even though it's going off into the distance. If you want to change how many tiles are rendered at once, that's where you change the last index in the Infinite Runner game mode. It was set at 19, I changed it to 5, and now you can see it's rendering a lot closer. I turned it up to 100, and now you can see it's going all the way back there. That's probably a bit overkill, but I'm still getting some good frame rate. I'm just going to leave it at like 20. If you wanted to add a wall, you can see I can just fall off. You would add it to this. You just click add. I'm just going to add a cube. Now you can see I have a wall all along the outside. That's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.